Paris, thank you. With members of his own party controlling the legislature, it is rare for Governor J.B. Pritzker to disagree with the General Assembly on any bill that reaches his desk, especially one backed by his traditional allies in labor. But today, the governor did use his veto pen on a measure granting paid leave to teachers affected by COVID. Amanda Vinicky joins us now with more. Amanda.
Yeah, Brandis, Juan Johnny Ramos has been a custodian for 30 years. He's now the head custodian at Maplebrook Elementary in Naperville. He remembers when the pandemic first hit. It was a scary time. He was one of the few people still actually going into work, and as soon as he got home, he'd change his clothes. Now, fast forward 2 years later, earlier this month, he did get COVID. And even though he's vaccinated, it hit him hard. He couldn't return to work for another 2 weeks.
Once you got hit with it, then you would really drained and try to get your ability. You know how much you have to do in this job every day and how long it takes you. It's like a triathlon. I mean, there are days where we do 30,000 steps easily.
He had already used all of his sick days due to a hand injury. And so in order to keep on getting paid, he had to dip into his vacation time. Now, these are the situations that the measure that Pritzker vetoed was meant to address. It gives teachers unlimited paid leave for COVID-related absences.
We don't want people to come to work sick. And that's what happens. A lot of people are faced with a really terrible dilemma. You're sick, or you're in isolation, or your child is, and you have to stay home for 5 days or whatever it is, but you have no sick time, which means you're not being paid. So this says, look, we'll make sure that districts pay them.
But the measure was opposed by various education organizations, the State Principals Association among them.
We're trying to prioritize in-person learning. You have to have people to do that. So we were concerned about what this would do to the ongoing teacher shortage, ongoing substitute shortage, and being able to maintain, enough classrooms to maintain in-person learning.
John Berkey is a former school superintendent, and he is now with the Large Unit District Association. He says that he understands that many early career teachers, as well as bus drivers, paraprofessionals, and other support staff may not have a lot of sick time or even vacation time accrued. But he says this is a measure that passed the General Assembly way too quickly without enough discussion. And he says he doesn't like that it doesn't have limits.
We don't want that to happen to say a first year teacher to run out of sick leave and then not be able to get paid because you're home with COVID. So I think we just need to be able to talk about how can we put some reasonable limits in place. We're concerned also the bill is retroactive to the beginning of the year. So every sick leave day that's been given for anything related to COVID is going to be given back.
He says that a new compromise that was reached between the governor and the teachers unions is an improvement, but still on a bad bill. The new plan is nearly identical to the one that the governor vetoed. Educators from elementary to those who work at community colleges and the state's public universities, as well as support staff, will get paid leave if they cannot go to work because of COVID, whether it be because they have it, because they have to quarantine, or because they are taking care of a child who has the coronavirus. Now, the update, this is only something available to those who are vaccinated.
If you are fully vaccinated and you've been wearing your mask and you are identified as a close contact, you don't have to quarantine so long as you don't have symptoms. So that ensures that a teacher or a staff member who is in that situation can still come to work. They would not have to be quarantined or take time off.
This new agreement was just introduced this afternoon, so Maley's Principals Organization does not yet have a stance on it. But the IFT president says that this compromise with Pritzker is good public and good public health policy.
Once this is enacted, it will give people a time window to get vaccinated. And we think that's a just and fair thing to do. And in fact, it helps to make this a good incentive.
Good incentive to get vaccinated. Now, by the way, this measure is only good for this school year. And again, not for any other health issues, only if somebody cannot go to school to work because of something related to COVID. The deal does mean that the governor is going to avoid a sticky election year tussle with one of his allies. Of course, that is teachers' unions. This compromise is likely to pass the General Assembly when it goes before the legislature. It, by the way, is unclear how many teachers have unused sick time that they would have to resort to something like this, and how many have a lot in the bank. Both teachers also say that a majority of their members are already vaccinated. There's a lot of controversy here, Brandis, including those who ask, why limit this policy to only educators? Back to you.
Amanda, thank you.